And welcome into Teal, the show. We are live here at the Community First Igloo as we get you ready for what is basically an early playoff game for the Jaguars.
I know. I mean, listen, we were all on the edge of our seats this weekend because we all knew we deserved that win. We went to the field to earn it, and we came away with it, and now we're on to the next step.
Yeah, look, it's tough to believe that it's already the final week of the regular season for the Jags. It has been a long and interesting season, but they finally made it here, and it's a win and you're in sort of situation. If they go to Tennessee, get the win, they're AFC South champions for the second straight year, something they've only done one other time in franchise history, and that was back when it was still the AFC Central, so it's been a while.
Right. I mean, I think we're all excited and looking forward to the weekend, and I personally am really excited for us to go on the road. You know, early in the season, we were doing really well as a road team, and some people were questioning, could we only win on the road? So I'm like, you know what? Let's take those early season vibes and get them on the bus.
You know what? They're road warriors. They said they enjoy it. So, you know what? Get on the plane, get on the bus, whatever they got to do, take it to the show on the road as long as they walk out of Nashville with a win. Now, the question is, what quarterback's going to lead them out on the field this week? Because C.J. Beathard got the job done last week. Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, missed the first game of his career dealing with a shoulder injury. He was sidelined dealing with that last week. This week, he was back out on the practice field today, but didn't throw any passes during the media portion of practice that we could see.
Now, listen, poor Trevor, he's really been dealing head, shoulders, knees, toes, ankles. We've seen it all this season, and we're just hoping that he can get healthy. But like you said, CJ's now getting really great game reps, and we saw him be really successful this weekend.
Look, it's helpful when CJ finally has a game under his belt. Of course, the Jaguars are hoping that Trevor Lawrence will be back this week out on the field, but he's spending a game on the sideline watching from the side, something that he's never done because of an injury before in his football life. Doug Peterson says may have helped the young quarterback just to see things from a little bit of a different perspective.
I think it definitely helps a guy like Trevor, your quarterback, who you're seeing the game with a little bit calmer, a little, that 30,000-foot perspective. He sees things differently, how he would handle situations, So, yeah, there's definitely things that I think he took away that he can definitely use, or use the next time he gets an opportunity.
So now while everybody's waiting about Trevor, another guy that's missed a few games is Christian Kirk. He spent some time on the injured reserve. He got hurt against the Cincinnati Bengals in that big game. First play of the game, had made a big catch, went down with an injury. He's been a big part of this Jaguars offense. He was back at practice for the first time today as the Jaguars opened up his window to return to the football field.
It's just the unfortunate part of the game. Me and Christian talk about the love-hate relationship we have with football sometimes, and the injuries sometimes end up on the hating side. So I'm happy to be back out there, working with my team, trying to get as healthy as possible. And we need everybody at this point. We need all hands on deck. So I'm excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, look, it seems like the Jaguars are getting healthy just at the right time. That was Zay Jones talking about his health. He's been dealing with a knee injury, also missed the last game. He was back out on the practice field. I think we were talking while we were at practice today how long it had been since we saw Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Christian Kirk all practicing together at the same time, and it feels like it's been a while.
It really has, and you get that way towards the end of the season. I think sometimes we think in terms of game to game, but when you look at what an athlete is doing every single day, the amount of reps they're getting on the field, in the weight room, in the training room, it is a lot on the body, and it's taxing even for our superheroes like Trevor, like Zay. When you see them continue to go on the field, you do have to be mindful of what the body is going through.
Yeah, definitely. Those guys get beat up. You heard Zay Jones say it. Sometimes those injuries are the part that they don't like about the sport. Doug Peterson said this morning that it's just that time of year. Every team is beat up. The Jaguars have some guys with some bumps and bruises that they're dealing with, and hopefully they're all healthy enough to play. We'll see who's able to get out on the field this week. Some of the big question marks, obviously Trevor and Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. We'll see. I'm not sure that Christian Kirk's going to be back this week, but him being back on the practice field definitely means that, fingers crossed, they make the playoffs, he would be there.
Now, when we were facing some of these injuries mid-season, I do think that it gave the deep quality bench that we have, it gave them an opportunity to get onto that practice field, get onto the game field, and really get some of those reps in that will be able to serve us later in the season should we face something like that again.
Yeah, definitely. They found some guys that they like because of some of those injuries. Antonio Johnson got an opportunity to play, the rookie 6th-round pick, and now he's playing a lot more snaps and playing a lot of really good football for the Jaguars, and they're going to need it this week as they go up to Tennessee. So this is basically an early playoff game. The Jaguars win, and they're into the playoffs. and that's what they ultimately want to be. But, of course, they have to go through the Tennessee Titans. And while Tennessee's having a little bit of a down year, it's still a rivalry game, and a lot of the guys in the locker room are split on whether or not there's really some dislike or even hate when it comes to the guys that are going to be on the other side of the field this week.
You talk about just the rivalry and the passion from both sides and just, you know, kind of how much we dislike each other on the field, and I think that that's a real thing in this rivalry.
There's a couple teams for me, the teams I've been losing to. I know the Chiefs, like, I can't stand them, honestly. The Eagles, I don't like them. I feel like it's a bunch of teams like that, and I feel like the Titans have to be one of those just because of, I remember my rookie year just watching them just lose to them, and like the things that have been the meaning of the games for real, and then they are division opponents, so you can't like any of your division opponents really.
Not really, not the teams. I don't really care. I just want to win the game, honestly, win the game. If they start talking crazy a little bit, then I probably get mad or something, but other than that, no, let's just kick their ass and go home.
I think I side both with Travis Etienne. Look, the guys are all over the
I'm with
thing.
Etienne.
I'm with him. Look, if the team's been beating you, all of a sudden there's some hate there. There's some. You want to win every game, so I can see it. He started calling out the Chiefs, the Eagles, teams that have beat the Jaguars, of course, the Titans too.
Yeah, I just love the visceral, real reaction from him. Did you have a team like that when you were playing that you were just like, I just don't like these people. When I see them, I want to beat them?
When I was in college, it was Tuskegee. They beat us so many times when I was at Clark Atlanta playing football that I wanted to beat Tuskegee. I hated them.
Listen, I'm going to upset my producer in my ear. I just want to beat UNC. I was a Pac girl, and if they were in blue, we needed to beat them. I'm getting yelled at now.
Maybe getting a little yelled at, but we've still got plenty more Teal the show coming your way. Next up, we're going to talk about Duval Design, some really cool game posters that you may have seen popping up on social media. That's straight ahead right after this break.
Welcome back to the Community First Igloo. Now we are taking a look at a very special feature that the Jaguars have launched this year called Duval Designs. Now here at Teal the Show, we're all about all things Jags. Here I have Asia, who's the VP of Marketing at the Jaguar Stadium. Now, Asia, talk to me about Duval Designs. This is something unique launched this year where you collaborated with local artists for a limited run edition of commemorative posters launched for each and every home game. What brought on this concept?
So 2 years ago, we actually reinvented our influencer strategy, and we looked at, yes, we have your big Hollywood actors, you have your athletes and your artists, but what about the actual design artists in Jacksonville, and how can we shine a light on that community? Because Jacksonville is such an artistic community, and a lot of people don't know that, so we felt like it was our responsibility to be able to bring that to light.
That is so exciting. Now we actually have two of the artists here. So here we have Patrick and we have Derek, who are going to talk to us about their specific design posters. Now, first of all, guys, can you kick us off talking to us about the process? Because there was a call to action, a call for artists that Asia and her team launched in order to give everybody an opportunity to submit their designs, and then they were selected for these limited run prints. So Patrick, why don't you kick us off and talk to us about your submission?
So what happened was that, on the website, we submitted reasons why we thought we'd be a good fit for the project. And I'm a lifelong resident of the Neptune Beach community and, obviously the Jacksonville area, and been a Jaguars fan from the very beginning. I've also been a designer in the community, in the industry for about 20 years. So working on projects like this from beginning to end is something that I'm do on a normal basis. So I thought it'd be a good fit for that. So I submitted, my information, and they reached out and then put me on the job of doing this Hispanic Heritage poster.
That is fantastic, and they're beautiful. And if you were looking at these different images, every single one is completely different. Now, Barrett, can you talk to me about your process when it came to creating your design? Because even looking at the two of these that all came from the same design competition are completely different design choices.
That's right. So I was contacted to do the Crucial Catch game versus the Indianapolis Colts, and it was one of those things where, I did some research, checked out Crucial Catch, and once I saw the website and what they're doing, I was familiar with them. But once I saw the pinks and the bright colors, immediately I knew what I wanted to do with their patterns and everything, and it immediately just go into some old wave, 80s retro, synth wave kind of feel to it, and give it this electro kind of feel.
Now, I would love to talk to you, Asia, about how you decided to incorporate these designers, because a lot of times in the marketing world, we hear the word collab, and that just means, hey, why don't you give us some of your work and we'll just say thank you on social media. But the Jaguars wanted to make sure they took it a step further to really enforce and engage and employ these designers. So can you talk to us about that process and what it looked like after their designs were selected?
Yeah, so we actually did not require the artists to submit Jaguars branded work for us to review. We just wanted to see who they were as artists and what was important to them and how it could come out on the posters. So we essentially picked all the artists ahead of time, and then based off of our game theme, so you see Patrick has Somos Duval, which was our first Hispanic Heritage game, and then Varick had the Crucial Catch game. And based off of each of the different game themes we had, we gave that to the designer and said, whatever that looks like to you. And there were a few things that we may have had to change just to be in compliance with what a game poster needed to look like. But for the most part, we gave them the parameters and just waited to see what they came back with. And that's why they look completely different than the Jaguars branding that you will see across all of our channels.
That is fantastic. I just love seeing how you guys are consistently and constantly reaching out to the community to tie the team to the 904. Now, in addition, the artists were paid for their time and their work. They were given tickets in addition, and they were also placed on the Jaguars website where you can go and you can follow them on social, see all of the designs, and check out the rest of their portfolio. Now, Asia, we have a couple more seconds, but you have a big announcement that I don't want us to miss. What are you able to share with us tonight?
I am happy to share tonight that we will be bringing back the Duval Designs poster series for the 2024 season. So keep a lookout on Jaguar Social and Jaguars.com. So once the applications open up, we love for more people to apply, and hopefully we can come back here next year and show them to you guys.
Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for sharing your art with us here on Teal the Show, for sharing it with the 904. Asia, thank you for all that you and your team are doing for a local artist. When we come back for Teal the Show, we'll be talking a lot more Jaguars. We'll see you in a minute.
That's all I need to tell the team. There's nothing other than trying to win this game on Sunday. I'm not going to cloud their mind with stuff.
Not going to cloud their mind with stuff. It's just that simple. Look, everybody keeps asking how the Jaguars can get in the playoffs, and you heard it from Doug Peterson. Win the game. That's all they're counting on right now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's never one to really over fluff or over elaborate, you know, unless you really are asking him targeted questions. I know that you have to be in those presser pits, and he's really not going to give you more than he's going to offer up unless you ask those targeted questions. And I think that's kind of how we have to play football coming up. And I think that's what got us the win this weekend is we got away from the frustration. We got away from kind of that block where everyone, the different sections of our offense, our defense, you know, were mad. And we just went back and said, okay, let's take a step back to take a step forward, play clean football, and everyone was able to be successful there.
Some of that, you just got to simplify it. If you overcomplicate things, then you're overcomplicating it.
How many times did you hear Kiss in the locker room?
That's it. Keep it simple, stupid. It's the best thing. And even Trevor Lawrence kind of said today, you know, you take a step back from it and you think about it, it's still just a game. And football is just a game, and Doug Peterson doesn't want to overcomplicate it. Win and they're in, it's that simple. But we can overcomplicate it a little bit.
Oh, we can. We got time. I was like, when you say people always want to ask, I'm like, you mean me?
Yeah, I got you.
You mean me?
We got you covered.
Break it down
All right.
for me.
So if they lose, take a look at this. They need two things to happen for them to still get into the playoffs. The first game is on Saturday that everybody should be watching, 4:30, Steelers-Ravens. You need the Steelers to lose. And then they would also need the Broncos to lose to the Raiders. That game's on Sunday at 4 o'clock. So if the Jaguars lost to the Titans at 1 o'clock, they would need both the Steelers and the Broncos to lose. Now, that's because they want to avoid like a messy three-way tie with the Steelers and Broncos, even though the Broncos are already eliminated from playoff contention. You want to avoid this three-way tie because then it changes what the tiebreaker is. If they're in a two-way tie with the Steelers, they beat the Steelers, so they still get in. But if it's a three-way tie, then it goes to common opponents, and the Steelers would get in. So
it gets real messy.
It gets real messy. So you want both of them to lose, and then if the Jaguars lost, they'd still get in. But like Doug Peterson said, look, win and you get in. This is all you wanted. It's that simple.
So what do you think we're looking at going into this weekend? If you had to give me two things that we've got to keep in mind when we step on that field at 1 o'clock, what do you think?
Look, play safe football. You got to play assignment-based football. The Tennessee Titans have nothing to lose, so they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at you. Flea flickers, fake punt, fake field goal, whatever it is, don't fall for the trap plays. and then you really got to just play.
Sounds like tacky football to me.
That's it. And you got to play clean. No turnovers, and they should be fine. The Jaguars are better than this team, so they should win.
Listen, I mean, I think, like you said, if we stay focused, I think we as fans got to make sure that we're there, we're supporting. Do you think we're going to see a lot of Teal in that stadium?
It sounds like a lot of Jaguars fans are planning to make that trip up to Tennessee. I know
we
the players,
do travel well.
They do.
The Teal travels well.
Look, when this team is successful, Jaguars fans are everywhere. So it sounds like there's going to be a bunch of them. And, I know Jaguars plans were on the fence, or Jaguars players were on the fence about whether or not they hate the Titans. Jaguars fans aren't on the fence. They hate the Titans. They remember a lot of that history and want the team to win the game this week. All right, we've still got a little bit more Teal to show ahead. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the season that Josh Allen has had and how the Jaguars can maybe skate toward the playoffs. That's straight ahead as Teal the Show returns right after this quick break. Welcome back here into Teal the Show. All right, the Jaguars defense has been playing fantastic this year, and it's partially because of this dynamic duo they have playing on the edges, rushing the passer, Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen. Take a look at the stats. They kind of speak for themselves. They've combined for 25.5 sacks, and Trayvon Walker is knocking on the door of double digits himself with 9 sacks already this season.
Yeah, when I saw Saxonville in the rundown, I was like, look at us making our mark out on the field and in those stats. Now, I mean, seeing this kind of duo, like, what do you think it takes to get to that level when you have a teammate with that kind of chemistry?
Look, both of them are pushing one another. Josh Allen just set the single-season sack record for the Jaguars. Last game broke Calais Campbell's mark. And he already said he hopes that Trayvon Walker breaks that record one day. And Trayvon's well on his way in his second year in the NFL. 9 sacks, could finish with more than that if he can have a big day against Tennessee, which would be fantastic. I think going into the year, the question I was asking everybody, I said, all right, if Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker both have double-digit sacks, where are the Jaguars? And everybody was like, in Vegas for the Super Bowl. So 1 sack away for Trayvon from getting to that mark. So
yeah,
who knows what could happen?
Book plane tickets.
Hey, we've booked some plane tickets. Go hang out in Vegas. A lot worse places to be. Look, Josh Allen's having a fantastic season. Definitely made himself a whole lot of money. But maybe he's not getting enough credit around the NFL. Take a look at this. So NFL Defensive Player of the Year is, of course, a very important award, right?
Absolutely.
Josh Allen's not really being discussed as in the running for that award. Some of the favorites, according to Vegas, are Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt. But look at Josh Allen's stats right next to him, and he is right there foot in foot with both of those guys. I think Josh Allen and Jacksonville got to get a little bit more credit and maybe at least a couple of votes for Defensive Player of the Year.
I mean, well, you know that he's got our vote. So what do you think is not bringing him up in the conversation when it comes to these post-game shows, when it comes to these credentials? Because clearly, if you look at the number, he's right there.
Look, I mean, part of it's just that it's the Jaguars,
Haters gonna hate.
That's right. You got to have haters somewhere, and people are not giving him the due credit, and partially because it's Jacksonville. And the guys like T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett have been there and done that year in and year out, so they've earned a little bit of extra credit, while this is Josh Allen's really first phenom-like year this season.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully that's going to continue to push him, and he's going to say, hey, look, I'm going to give you something to talk about even more than my numbers, put even more up on the board.
Hey, Jaguars got to re-sign him, and there are a lot of people in that locker room that are fueled by doubt, including Josh Allen. So we'll see if Josh Allen can help to lead the Jaguars to a win on Sunday. Hopefully him and Trayvon Walker can add a few sacks to their total, help the Jaguars take down the Titans and earn a spot in the playoffs. Hey, one thing we forgot to mention, if they do earn a spot in the playoffs, that means they'd be playing the Cleveland Browns here in Jacksonville for a home playoff game. So we'll see just what happens. And, of course, we'd have another Teal the Show coming your way. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here tonight live at the Community First Igloo. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.